Okay, let's start with the good news because always, right? The good news is while 2025 might come with a lot of unexpected events, a lot of curveballs have been thrown our way as small business owners, as creatives, as artists. The good news is it's actually fine. We got this. No, but for real, I want to have a conversation. This might be two parts because I do have a lot that I want to unfold and talk about. But there are so many artists around me, and you're one of them. And if you're not one of them, I want you to be one of them quickly, that are finding stability and that are finding sustainable sales and that are flowing, even though the tides are shifting and changing and the market is shifting and changing. And are we in a recession? To be determined. And yet we have stability. We have a sure foundation. And that's really, really powerful to watch, and to watch so many creatives get creative, which is what we're best at, obviously, and finding ways to sell our work sustainably, to support our work, to even grow our businesses in financially uncertain times. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about ways that we can have sustainable and strong businesses no matter the market around us, no matter the season, because we all know this, but sales patterns change throughout the year. I almost said school year, throughout the year. And no matter the internal season, because you might be in a quieter season, you might be in a more active season internally. And part of being a sustainable creative, one that doesn't want to burn out every year, is honoring that internal season. Not trying to rush through it. It is a natural part of being a human, and therefore a natural part of being a creative entrepreneur. So let's dive in. I love sharing this with you so much. This is actually content from The Collective, which is a membership that I offer for creative entrepreneurs. It's the most affordable offer that I have. It's also the most robust. There are 190 pieces of content in there: lessons, trainings, workbooks, guest expert interviews, behind the scenes looks at what it looks like to actually run a creative business and make it something that is both sustainable and also profitable and really, really practical. This is where I and the experts that I bring in just get to open up my studio, our businesses, and say, hey, this is how I do this. This is exactly how this looks. Here are the buttons that I clicked. Here are the things that I use. Here are the resources that I rely on. And it's the safest space that I feel that I can share this kind of content in the container, which is so generous, so collaborative, so communicative, and just, I don't know, it's beautiful. So this is content from The Collective. The Collective is open for enrollment right now through Thursday, the 12th of June. If it speaks to you, I recommend joining now. I've never done this before, but it's $10 for the first month. So $39 after that, which even cheaper, honestly. If you like choose a 3-month or a 12-month payment plan, it's even cheaper, like 25% cheaper. But the first month, regardless, is $10. So you can just get in, see how it feels for you, see what speaks to you, find ways to integrate this into your business. And I am so certain that you're going to love it. I also get to speak live with you once a month, and we do one-on-one coaching. We do Q&As, we do workshops. So there's space to get direct feedback in the room virtually, which is just really precious and really, really wonderful. So that is coming up, and the doors close on the 12th. If you're listening to this on the 11th, you have today and tomorrow. Let's do this. Okay, let's talk about creative stability, because when you've been in business and like selling your work and running a studio and creating work, and you've worked out that flow, when you've done this for enough years, you begin to realize that creative stability is the most important thing you can possibly put your energy into. Finding ways to make your business sustainable, to grow it sustainably, to enjoy that process, to make sure that your sales are consistent and keep everything running and flowing, even if there are dips, even if there are high periods where you're like, wow, I'm on fire. Yes, that's awesome. Love it. Be in it. And realize that we're in a cycle of letting things ebb and flow. And I want to have this conversation this year in particular because 2025 has thrown us a lot of curveballs that have been outside of our control. And when that happens, it can be really, really easy for creatives in particular to feel the energy in the room and to go, oh no, things are not going okay. We're not okay. We're not safe. And when you don't feel safe, it's very hard to be creative. We all know this. I'm sure you sense this. I'm sure you felt this. It's hard to feel the safety and the assurance that you need to put your work in the world when everything around you feels like it's a little bit spinning and it's a little bit chaotic. So, in this conversation, which I think is going to be 2 parts, maybe 3, but I think just 2, we'll see. We're going to talk about selling your work throughout all the seasons and within high and low markets, which we're in a bit of a declined market right now. It is not a recession. Talk to the economists, not to me, but people are still buying and spending and feeling like, relatively comfortable in that, but we're all a little bit wary because things are definitely shifting. We're going to talk about finding your personal creative rhythm, even when your life might have ups and downs, things happen. Trust me, I know. You probably also know. We're going to talk about understanding your specific market and how your creative work fits into that market. And we all have a little bit of a different twist on this, depending on where you live geographically, where your work fits culturally. You might have a little bit of a nuance to this, but we'll talk about the market in general. And then we're going to talk about allowing yourself to feel safe and stable in your own creative practice. So if sales are feeling slow, if you feel like your work is not getting the traction that it deserves, if the market is doing something weird or feeling a little bit uncertain, and you're simply trying to navigate your own internal energetic shifts, this conversation over this 2-part series, maybe 3-part series, to be determined, will be really, really grounding and very reassuring. So save this episode. I think you'll want to come back to it as you progress throughout the year and then into next year. So I think this is a really, really practical one that is it's a little bit of a gold mine. So let's dive in. So let's talk about, first and foremost, honoring your internal season, because no matter what's happening out in the market, no matter what's happening in the broader world, it all begins with you. You are the most important person in the room when you're in your studio. Your creative flow will ebb and flow based on your internal season before anything else will affect it. That's the most grounding space, is to be aware of where you are in your own energetic space, your own energetic rhythm. And when I talk about seasons, I do quite literally mean seasons like spring, summer, autumn, winter. They do not have to match the seasons that are happening around you. They do not have to match the calendar. They're your internal flow. We're going to talk about the different seasons, how you can honor yourself and love yourself. And by that, I mean you look at yourself from all angles and take gentle stock of where you are right now. What inner season are you in now? You are part of nature. Your body, your mind, your spirit, they are all one with nature and the natural rhythms, especially for those of us that have cycles. You know this, you feel this intimately when you're aware of it. And just the subtle shift that acknowledges that we are not robots. We are not capitalist machines. We are part of nature. We are humans. This goes in direct opposition to capitalism. So even though we exist within it, we work within it, and I teach you how to run a business that makes an income for you, that lets you live the life that you want. There's nothing wrong with living in a capitalist world. But as a creative, it's very important that you are aware that you might feel a little bit against the grain of the system that you're working within. And that is very normal for a person to feel that way, especially a creative person to feel that way. The markets that we live in will ask you to show up consistently and loudly, and they are always hungry. They have no limits. They have no boundaries, but you have limits. You are part of nature. You work within creative flow, which means there are ups and downs, inspiration gathering, and then creative output. You are not a machine, okay? You are nature. At the beginning of each retreat that I get to lead, which I love leading creative retreats, we have a discussion about this, because when you're in the room with somebody, it's very nice to be aware of where they might be energetically. If they're coming to the retreat with a lot of ready to pour into their work, or ready to like produce, that lets me know how to show up for them as the guide in that moment. Whereas if they're coming to the retreat needing to replenish because they're in an inner winter, then it's helpful for me to know that they might need a bit of tenderness and they might need a little bit of like space and sensitivity. So it helps me to just kind of be aware of what's happening in the room with all the individual people, which is really like sweet to begin the retreat with that permission granting, because when they know why they're there, then they can also nourish themselves in the way that they need to, which I love to watch happen. Your season is operating on its own timeline. There is no rushing your process. You can do things that tip you into the next season or that nurture you out of a season if you want to kind of flow through this process naturally. But you very well might be in a particular season for years, and then in the next season for a week, and then the next season for a few months. So there's no rhyme or reason to the flow. Just be aware of where you may be. Case in point, I was in an inner winter during my separation for about 1.5 to 2 years. It was a long winter. I knew how to move through it. I had creative stability. My business was a stable thing that I could rely on. So, I wasn't like not producing anything for 2 years, because when you have systems in place and you know that you can trust yourself for real. However, I was in an inner winter, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So a little overview, what season might you be in now? Winter symbolizes the need for rest, inward reflection, soaking in inspiration, but you're not outputting it too much. You're really letting yourself just heal and restore and soak. There's a lot of refilling, a lot of healing, contemplation, planning. It's a very gentle energy state. Now we tip into spring. Spring symbolizes playful growth, new ideas, fresh curiosity, and the energy state that you might feel is an awakening, an experimental phase, saying yes to those sparks of delight. It's a lot of like new, fresh energy, which feels so good after winter. And the beautiful thing is winter always ends and spring always comes. Also, winter gets a bit of a bad rap. Winter is delicious. It is it's so beautiful and so, so good. Okay, from spring, we know we go into summer. Summer symbolizes flow, making, doing, expressing, a lot of activity. So active creation, riding the waves of productivity. You might feel that you're outputting a lot during your inner summer. You might be like, I am unstoppable. This is when you might feel those long work days. You might feel like you just have endless energy. You're just going. Your vitamin D levels are at an all-time 10. You just feel like you have so much to give and so much ability to give. And that is a delicious feeling. Autumn symbolizes completion. The launch of something, the celebration of something. The energy state is harvesting, sharing, releasing. You're having this gratitude, this celebratoriness, this like, I did it, here it is, the fruits of my labor, they're beautiful, enjoy them with me. And it's a very communal celebration time, but you know that this energy that you might have had in summer is drawing to a close. And that's a beautiful part of the cycle, because you can't be in summer forever. I have tried. It doesn't really work. So take a moment to think about what season you might be in and which season you feel that you might be inhabiting right now. And I have a little gift for you. If you would like to follow along with all of this in written form, of course, you know me, I have a little workbook that is beautiful and thoughtful. I'll link it down below. It's free. It's actually content that's in the collective, but I'm going to share it with you because I think it's worth having a broader discussion about and having like the full creative community. I want to share this more broadly. So it is for you. It'll be in the collective when you join. It'll also be linked down below that you can just get it for free right now because I'm so generous. I'm so generous. Inside of the workbook, there's a section that asks you to pause for a check-in, and it has a few questions that I recommend you read through and contemplate for a moment. And it's just like a little check the box if you feel the need for this. You can check all the boxes, or you can find where your intuition is really calling for you right now. And this will help you identify what season you might be in. And it helps you identify that for your business and then also for you, the tender, beautiful person behind the business. And once you sit with that and figure out what season you are in right now, you can begin to help yourself settle into it, not try to rush past it because you can't. You can't. Whenever I see an artist talk about burnout, this is often at the root of it. It's often at not being willing to recognize or honor the season that you might be in internally and trying to rush past it too quickly, trying to fake your way out of it and try to be in an endless summer. It's okay to not be in summer, okay? It's okay. All the seasons are valid, they're all beautiful. As I said, winter gets a bit of a bad rap, but winter is so luxurious. Okay, so that's kind of the foundation, is understanding your internal season, because you cannot fake your way into a different season. Okay, now once you know that, it's easier to talk about the seasons that are happening outside of you, both in the calendar, in our energy flows collectively, and in the market, because the market shifts with every season. Now, in order to talk about the market, we also need to discuss the fact that we are currently living in a bit of a downward market. The term that I keep hearing and the one that I use in the workbook is a soft market. So let's begin here, because it can be a bit scary to run a small business during any kind of economic decline. It can be really nerve-wracking when you're selling a luxury good like fine art or handmade products. These are all luxury goods. So let's begin here and just kind of set the tone as we move forward, because no matter what's happening in the broader world, everything is impacted by what people perceive as happening in the market. So this career is a little solitary. You're often alone in your studio, but you shouldn't feel alone in this process, because we're so interconnected. If you need a bit more connection, I am really going to recommend that you join the collective, because this is a space where we can quite tangibly gather together and support one another in every market, in every season, in every up and down turn. This is a space where I get to be like, hi, we're in this very much together, and you're with other artists, writers, creators of all kinds. And it's just a really, really beautiful place to feel safe, which is incredibly important. And as I said, it is so affordable. So just do it. What do I mean by a soft market? This is a phrase that we often use when the overall economy has people being a little bit more careful with their spending. So as I said, I don't think we're in a recession. People keep using that word though, and it is what it is. But sales may be slower overall or less predictable overall. That's very normal. If you're sensing that your sales are slower, please don't blame your art. It's the economy. Quite literally this time, it's definitely the economy. But as a creator and a small business owner, we do need those sustainable sales. We do need to have, stability with our finances. That's always the goal. And as someone that gets to coach artists on running sustainable businesses, this is really important for me to talk about. So I'm going to give you some tips for how to see sales even in an economic decline. This is not a time to panic. In fact, I would say the opposite. I would say that the purchases and the sales that you make during this season are even more meaningful and connective and powerful, and your buyers want your work. They're willing to invest in your work. And when you think about it that way, a soft market is actually giving you space to focus on that intimate connection that you have with your collector and your buyer, and to create true value around your work, because you're not trying to chase those quick, easy sales. You're trying to create a connection, a deeper bond, a deeper space to have those relationships with your buyers, your collectors. And you will still make those more passive sales, those easier, lighter sales. Don't hear me wrong in this, but what I am trying to say is that connection with your buyers is at an all-time importance level. And in the collective, we'll talk about how to do that more specifically, ways to market that specifically attracts buyers into your world and brings them into your space really organically and really beautifully through email marketing, through your social media, through the ways that you connect and just share yourself in a way that feels boundaried and safe for you still, please, always. But having that relational kind of marketing is really, I think, more pleasureful overall and more sustainable overall. So my first tip is to connect with your buyers' emotions and values. Collectors still want to buy creative work. In fact, during any kind of economic downturn, what often goes away is the more petty spending, but what often stays is that luxury spending, that thing that you're like, oh, I really, really want that. those purchases tend to stay a bit more stable. So fine art falls into that category. It's definitely a luxury purchase. It's definitely something that is a reminder of beauty and of meaning and of what is truly, truly good in this world. So if you can lean into that, and if you can lean into that connection with your buyers and their connection with your work, then purchasing your work for them becomes an obvious choice. It becomes like of course, I need that and I want that. I wrote in the workbook that in uncertain times, people look for beauty that feels real, purchases that feel extra delightful, and a connection to the things that matter most to them. So this is where your work comes in. And I also give you some prompts that will help you think through, like, what should I be sharing? How can I make that connection feel more real? I talk about this a lot in this podcast, but the more you can express yourself, the more you will attract your people to your work. Looking like everyone else will not actually serve you in this season, in this economic market. Really, really attracting your unique buyers to your personal aesthetic and message and story and connection to space or connection to an idea. The more you can narrow that down, I'm not saying to niche down because that is such a cliche, but what I do mean is to get specific about what you want to say, and then to be a little bit amazed with how it resonates with your ideal buyers. My next tip is incredibly important. Do not skip this tip. Create a menu of delights. What I mean by that is to diversify your business. Multiple price brackets, multiple spaces to connect with your ideal customers, multiple spaces to nurture your current and existing customers. This is incredibly important. So I give you a really clear kind of space to work through this in the workbook, so go download that. But designing a menu of delights is what I've called it, which I just think is cute. Gives you space to have that lower price point offer, that very easy yes product, that core collection, that thing that says, this is important, I'm going to purchase this, but it's still attainable. It's still within your ideal customers, like kind of comfortable price bracket. And then a premium experience. This is the extra wonderful offer. Maybe it's a commission, maybe it's a mural, maybe it's one-on-one coaching, maybe it's a retreat, maybe it's something that just has that like, oh, that's the most beautiful, perfect thing. Creating that different menu, and you can have this menu for each product. You can have that low, mid, and high range price point. You can have this for your business overall. Get a little bit specific with where you create these like kind of pricing differentials in your business, because they will not only excite and inspire your buyers, but also offer a lot of trust. If you have a variety of price points, there's a lot of trustworthiness with your business, which feels great for you. And it also feels really, really good for your buyer, because they know that they can come to you for a variety of needs. If they need that more high-end experience, like a mural or a commission or a Zoom call where they can talk to you about something in particular, like you have that higher end offer available. And it also nurtures the most important thing, which is your core collection, your mid-range price point. But it's that thing that you really like hang your hat on and you're like, this is the most important thing. And then those lower price point offers encourage those repeat customers. They encourage people to come into your world at a really safe and kind of accessible space. I often sell originals or my more high-end offers to someone that has already purchased a low price print. That happens all the time, like all the time. So having repeat customers is incredible. Having that nurtured audience is incredible. And it also gives you space to meet the needs of your current buyers in other ways. They might not want to buy a commission or a higher price point thing for a gift or for something to just kind of have in the peripheral of their life. So having that lower price point thing is really, really great. So I recommend think about all three areas of your pricing structure. Think about them for the different areas of your business, and nurture yourself, nurture your business, and nurture your collectors by kind of rounding out this list a little bit. It also gives you a lot of space to play. It gives you a lot of space to try some new things and create some new products, and it's just delightful. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. I have so much more I need to talk to you about, because we need to talk about the seasons, not just your internal seasons, but the external seasons, because as we move through the calendar, our sales patterns changed, and we're entering the summer, which is a different sales pattern than the spring, just collectively as a society, as people at large. So let's talk about the seasons in the next episode. I have a lot to get into. Come back. I'll see you there. And before that, join the collective. Doors are open through Thursday, and your first month is just $10. I cannot say that enough. This never happens, and it may never happen again because honestly, I had to kind of convince my team that it was even feasible. So join us while you can at that incredible price. You can cancel anytime. There's no strings attached. I got you. I'm in this with you. I know how it feels to run a business, and this just might be the most low stakes thing you can do to grow your business. So let's do it. Doors are open through Thursday, the 12th of June. And I can't wait to see you in there. We have our welcome meeting this Friday. It's going to be really, really sweet. Again, there are over 190 pieces of content in the collective. There have been 5,000 artists that have moved through this space over the last 6 years. I have been pouring my resources and information into this incredible collective resource for 6 years. And it's full, and it's wonderful, and I love it so much, if you can't tell, and I can't wait to see you in there. Okay.